Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another fantastic episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And joining me today is Elaine, all the way from Texas. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How is Texas weather treating you?
It's been hot, the summer has descended, and so I'm just surviving in this heat, but good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Elaine. So happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and see what comes up today.
Yeah, awesome. So to start, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So my name's Elaine Proulx, and I am former educator and now a health and well-being coach. And
Mhm.
I work with purpose-driven people. Am still one of those who just like give and give and give and don't really take care of themselves until there's some kind of crisis. And so, thankfully for me, it wasn't my crisis, but family members that kind of shook me and made me kind of see life in a different way and recognize that I need to take care of myself so I can keep serving the world. And now I help other people do that too.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I think that's, if not all of us, we wait until something really, really, really tragic happens,
Yeah.
enable for us to create some type of change or normalcy or routine.
Mhm.
Did you have something that happened to you that kind of woke you up to do what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I've always been like health conscious and grew up in a household where my mom was, taught us a lot of like healthy principles. But in my 20s, I just was like, I'm invincible. I can do whatever. And so I ate what I wanted and like didn't exercise. And
Mhm.
teaching is just, especially in the States, I don't know that much about the Canadian education system, but and especially in Texas is
Mhm.
just a beast. And so I was just working all the time and was so committed to like supporting my students and helping them have an amazing education.
Mhm.
And I completely neglected myself. And so about 4 years in, I was in this course at my church that was called like Finding Your Sacred Spiritual Gift.
Mhm.
And they were like, okay, like, what are you here to share with the world? And I just felt empty, like I had nothing left in me. And I felt guilty, like I had failed at my life's purpose. And like, I guess I'm not contributing anything to the world.
Mhm.
And then, so that was kind of like my first jolt. And then, a couple months later, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, pretty serious. And that was the first time I had like been faced with mortality so close to home. And so I just realized like health is built over decades of small decisions. It's not something that just like happens to us.
Mhm.
And thankfully, like my dad had a lot of foundational health that also helped him recover. And so he's fine now. But like going through that, I just realized that I was on a path I didn't want to be on. And I needed to change some things. And so that was kind of like the beginning of my healing and transformation journey for, this stage of my life. I'm sure there will be more as I continue to get older.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what grade did you teach or subject? What did you teach?
Yeah, so I taught first and second grade. I was a teacher for 5 years. And I taught all the subjects, but in Spanish. So I'm bilingual and taught students who are native Spanish speakers, mostly immigrants from Central, South America, Mexico, who had moved here. And yeah.
Mhm. Oh, that's awesome. What
Mhm.
would you say teaching has taught you?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I mean, I learned a lot about just like it's interesting, the Unleashing Potentials podcast is like being able to see the potential in every one of my students, regardless of like their background, regardless of the challenges they had, what they struggled with, what they were good at. Like it really forced me to kind of just like dig deep, even with the students
Mhm.
that were really challenging is like, okay, what can I love about this kid? What can I like encourage in them? What can I help them, like grow
Mhm.
because they're so young. And so that really helped also. And I think I joke with people, everyone's like, when they ask it, what grade did you teach? I taught first and second grade, which is like 6 and 7 year olds. And people are like, oh my God, you must be so patient. And I was like, yeah, but if I taught like high schoolers, I think I wouldn't have the same kind of patience because when they're so young, like they're so innocent and they don't know. And so I like get to teach them. And that's the part of teaching that I really loved was just like getting to grow them into humans and like really see the potential in every single one of my students.
Yeah, that's awesome. Was
Yeah.
there ever a time where you did not see potential in yourself, and who helped you see that?
Mm. Ooh, that's a good question.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, like kind of right now, I'm going through that a little bit. So I'm
Mhm.
still, I would say, in this like transitional phase of my life and trying to figure out what's next. So I
Mhm.
got my health coach certificate a couple years ago. I left teaching, have like just recently, a couple months ago, finished my master's degree.
Mhm.
Now I'm like trying to build my coaching business, but then also exploring like how else can I use my skills in maybe different jobs. And it's hard. It's hard to like keep the faith that everything is going to work out when
Yeah.
things are just kind of up in the air.
Mhm.
And it's hard to like keep that confidence when things aren't quite falling into place the way that I like expect them to or I want them to. Um, just like keep the confidence in myself that I know I can do it. I know I can figure this out. I know I have the potential to do amazing things. And then, so I have, my family is really supportive, my parents and my sister. And then I'm working with a business coach who's also incredibly supportive.
Mhm.
um, just like building lots of community. This has been something that I've like really, really worked on the last couple years since I left teaching, is
Mhm.
building a community of people around me that are loving and supportive and help me just like keep going when the going gets tough.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. How would you define holistic wellness or health? There's many different titles to it. In the line of work that you do, how do you
Mhm.
define it and teach it to other people?
Yeah. I think there's so many different definitions. And so I'm not providing like a clinical definition, but just kind of how I perceive holistic health is making sure that you're finding harmony between all the different areas of your life. And
Mhm.
so health and well-being, like I'm more focused on well-being. I think health is a state of body,
Mhm.
whereas well-being is like a state of being. How are you showing up in the world? And your well-being is your perception of how your life is going. So it's not necessarily like an objective measure of blood results and illness or wellness. It's just like, how do you feel like your life is going?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so it looks at all areas of health and well-being. So it's like your physical activity, it's your nutrition, which are the ones that people often think of when they think of like, oh, I want to get healthy. Your sleep, that's another common one. But then it also includes your physical environment. So it's like the place you live, but then also your home and your work and the spaces that you're spending your time in.
Mhm.
It's your feeling sense of fulfillment and purpose. Like, do you have, we all have a purpose in life. Like, we're here for a reason. And so, are you connected to that? Are you living that out? Not necessarily in your career. Like, that's not how everyone finds and feels purpose, but in other ways too.
Mhm.
It's mental and emotional well-being. It's your community, the people that you're spending your time with, and mindful awareness is like the foundation of it. You have to be aware to be able to perceive that your life is going well, and you have to be aware to know like where there needs to be changes or
Mhm.
shifts in your priorities in life to make sure that you're feeling fulfilled and purposeful and well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
How do you think people can continue to advocate for their wellness? because at times it's so hard to do that because everyone wants to give us their opinion when really
Mhm.
they're not driving the vehicle that we're in as a body. How do you think we can do
Oh
that?
my God. I love that you said that because it's so hard. And I think the interesting thing about health coaching, which is like an emerging field, and people don't necessarily like know what does a health coach do, but our like foundational principle in our approach to supporting people is that like you are the expert on your health and your body and your life. And so, like, you know what to do. You know, I would say everyone knows 90% of what they need to do. It's just a matter of figuring out, like, how do I actually do this?
Mhm,
And so, I think the first thing is just like helping people know that and realize that about themselves. Like, you're the expert, you know, you got it. And then, like, let me support you in the next step of actually implementing the knowledge and taking action to use what you know to transform your life.
mhm,
And I think the other thing that's really hard, and I can't say like I'm an expert at it, and I can't say that everyone can do this in the situation that they're in, but like from
mhm,
maybe a spiritual perspective or just like understanding of um like our purpose in life, I truly believe that like we are meant to have a greater experience of life than like experiencing right now.
mhm,
And especially in Western culture, we're like taught so much that our value and our purpose is tied to our career and how we like contribute to society in terms of money, right? How we like help capitalism keep going.
yeah, yeah,
And there's so much more to life than just like earning the paycheck and going to work or like helping people. Something that I realized through my healing journey is that like I want to have a good experience in this lifetime. Like I want to enjoy my days. I want to look forward to the things that I'm spending my time on. And
mhm,
there's so much out there, and we're even more exposed to it now with social media and just it's pervasive, like all the things that we could be doing. And
mhm,
everyone telling us you should do this and you shouldn't do this, and this is good for you and this is bad for you. And so, like, it's tapping back into what is important to me, kind of shut out all that noise and really like focus on my experience of like what do I want to have, what do I want to feel in this lifetime, and then go do that because that's really all that matters. And knowing that like when I take care of myself, when I am well, when I my light is shining brightest, like that's going to be the way that I bring the most good into the world. If we're not well, we're not able to show up fully in the spaces where we're wanting to make an impact. And so that's really like me first, which sounds selfish, but like me
mhm.
first. And then like the rest will follow. Everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Would you say you know and feel that you're walking in your purpose right now?
Um, hmm, I would say I'm on the path.
Mm,
So yeah, I guess so. Um, I think so. I think that like I said, like it's challenging building a business and feeling like maybe I'm not spending all my time doing what I want to do, which is coaching. Like there's a lot of time being spent on building my business, but
mm,
I think that it's all useful and it's all necessary. Like it's all part of
mhm.
what I'm meant to be doing right now. And so, yeah, I would say that I am.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned putting yourself first. How do you do that? Do you set boundaries? Do you have routine, structure, or schedule?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. Boundaries are really important and something that I always struggled to do.
Mm,
It's hard to say no, but
mhm,
I know that when I'm saying no to one thing, I'm saying yes to something else. And so, like, what do I want more of? Focus on that. And then whatever doesn't support that. It's like, no, that's not for me right now. Maybe at some point, but not right now.
Mhm.
So like in my weekly schedule, I have like Mondays are blocked off for me to work on my business, to be creative, um, just to like work on whatever I need to work on, but I don't schedule any meetings ever. I have a part-time job. I don't take shifts on Mondays. Like I really am intentional about making sure that like my Mondays are my day.
Mhm.
And that could look different for everyone. It could be just like a time of day that you have to protect, or it could be a certain thing each day that you want to protect. It could be a different day of the week. It could be the weekends.
Mhm.
Another thing I do is like I make sure that I'm moving my body every day, and I put that on my calendar too. So I'm very much like a calendar person, and that is kind of how I make sure that I'm taking care of myself.
Mhm.
But like movement, exercise is really important to me. I know that for my physical health, for my mental health,
Mhm.
for longevity, like wanting to live well for a long time.
Yeah.
And then like volunteering. So I at the beginning of the year I set an intention or resolution to volunteer like a certain number of hours on average every week.
Mhm.
And being able to like show up in the community and support different efforts has been something that contributes to my well-being. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of ways that like, you know, that is like being for someone else, but it's for me. You know,
Mhm.
it's like
Mhm.
it is, we do everything we do is for us, truly. Like I don't maybe there are some selfless acts, but I feel like most of this stuff, it does fulfill us. Even if you're not doing it like for that purpose, it does come back to you. It's the
Mhm.
energy of like giving and receiving, putting it out into the universe, and like it'll come back to you for your good.
Yeah.
And so just like trying to stay in that flow of like making sure I'm taking care of me so I can give back, and then it comes back to me, and it's all just all
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I actually preach for selfishness. Some people may take that the wrong way, but I always describe what I mean by that, which is what you've been describing, to take the time for yourself, by yourself, and to set boundaries and to know where to be a bit more rigid or loose. And yeah, I think all of us need that in our everyday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite quotes is don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that, because what the world needs is more people who come alive.
Yeah.
And so the more that we can like nurture ourselves, nourish our bodies and minds and spirits so that we can be alive showing up in the world,
Yeah.
like it will transform, you know, how people interact with each other and just the way that we all live and experience life.
Yeah, I agree. Who would you say made you the woman that you are today? And who do you look up to?
Hmm, that's a good question. I mean, I guess my mom, my dad too, but my mom, she was just like a powerful person, very giving, very generous, and a great example for me of, you know, what I could be, what I wanted to be. Um, and so I definitely like look up to her.
Mhm.
And but just like so many people, I feel like I am who I am because of
Mhm.
all the teachers I had and all the friends I've had. You know, it has like all contributed to creating the bad, the good, the hard, the easy. Like it's all made me who I am.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say my mom has been pretty influential in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
So what does working with you look like? And how do you help your clients? And who do you help? Is it men, women? Who do you work with?
Yeah, so I mostly work with women, but am open to working with men.
Mhm.
And I do like community presentations. I'm doing presentations in law firms, connecting with like people who are purpose driven in that profession,
Mhm.
about wellness and building kind of your internal resources, which is just like your physical and mental ability to cope with stress and with management because or stress and like mental health challenges, things that come up, because I think with like purpose-driven people, we have so much connection to like the work, right? And doing the work to serve the world. But then, and it's a stressful, any profession that's purpose driven, I think there's like inherent stress, right? So working in law, working in education, working in medicine, working in like social work and nonprofits, all of that has that stress. And so like, how can we build up our internal resources to be able to manage and cope with that stress? And that looks like it's very simple. It's like I say, let's take it back to the basics. We don't need all this fancy, like everything that's out there on social media, even though I have recently got into cold plunging, but that's like that's a fancy thing, or like cryotherapy or massages or doing all these like fancy things. We don't need that. Like if you don't have access to that, don't feel like you can't do anything for your health, because really what it comes down to is like moving your body, nourishing your body with good foods, making sure that you're getting enough sleep, and having community, like people around you that are helping you become the person you want to become. And so I do the presentations, and then I also work one-on-one with clients. And that looks like either like a 6 or 12-week program where we meet weekly. We talk about like what kinds of healthy habits do they want to adopt? What do they need to work on in their life right now? And then help them figure out like, how do they do that in the constraints and the parameters of their life? Because we all have different things going on. And so like what looks like exercise for me could look completely different for you, because of like my physical body, because of work, because of schedules, because of, you have kids, I don't have kids. So helping people figure out like, based on what their life looks like, how can I fit this thing into my life? And then we just start to make changes, take action, reflect. How did it go? What challenges came up? How can we adjust? Try again, and just over and over again, because really what it takes to change is just small steps over time, and just keep going till you kind of figure out what works, and you've like rewired a pathway in your brain to make it a little bit easier and more habitual. That's what habits are. But it takes time. And so just like doing that process over and over again to build in these structures in your life that are supporting the person you want to be and the life that you're wanting to live.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you mentioned stress. Stress, it's a silent killer. I know
Yes.
100% now, 100% now that all of us have some type of stress. And it's mind-blowing if you combine the science, the Western, Eastern culture, whatever it may be, of how much stress can damage the body, the psyche, mindset, everything. What would you say? You've said quite a bit, which is awesome, but what would you say to people who are in the thick of it right now, where the stress is so high, they're barely coping or getting by?
Yeah, stress, it's insipid. It affects every single one of our bodily systems. It affects, like for me, I hold stress in my shoulders and my neck. So
Oh,
I
me
feel
too.
like physically, yeah, I think a lot of women do.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is where,
same
we're
here.
carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so it affects us physically. Like our bodies and our minds are inextricably linked. And so it's really important that when we have um these habits that we want to be like supporting us, it needs to be both like addressing our mind, our mindset, our mental health, and our bodies.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing to just highlight here is that a lot of times we're like, reduce stress. You have to reduce stress. This is, it's not healthy to have this much stress. You have to reduce stress. And some people just can't. Like you can't sometimes you can't remove the stressors from your life. If someone is a mom working in like a high powered job, this was my mom, and She was working, all the time, and then like raising kids and having to take care of the household and maintaining her friendships and relationships.
Mhm.
Like, what does she do? Does she quit her job? That's not an option. Does she hire a nanny? Like, maybe. I don't think she could have done that when we were kids. Does she like just cut off all her friendships and be like, I'm just going to leave that? Well, that's not good for her, mental health and feeling of belonging.
Mhm.
And so we really have to like change the conversation from reducing stress to learning how to cope with stress, how to manage stress, and transform that stress so that it's not like destroying our bodies, because we're all going to have stress. Like you said, we all experience stress.
Mhm.
So we're not going to remove it. How can we just manage it a little bit better?
Yeah.
And I think it really, like I said, just comes back to these very basic principles of, eating well, making sure you're getting quality and enough sleep, moving our bodies, and community. Being connected with people is a huge part of our well-being.
Yeah. And the painful part is at times, most of us know what we need to do, but we're not willing to put in the work to get what we want to get. Right? We watch and see how so and so's doing this, and we just don't do it. Yeah. Oh, I think I lost you. You're frozen. Can you hear me? Oh, wow. I don't know what happened, but I just lost you.
Oh no, yeah, I was still here. I
Oh, you
think.
were?
Ooh, okay. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
that's okay.
Yeah.
So I heard the painful part is, and then it cut off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wonder what happened.
I don't know.
There's been like internet issues too, eh?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
I've
it's
been
been
having internet
happening, like
issues too.
just connection throughout the world. It's just been
Hmm.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I was saying that the painful part is that we know what we need to do, but we're not willing to put in the work to do it. Instead, we murmur, we complain, we watch over and see what so and so's doing and want to have what they have. They put the work in, but we don't necessarily always put it in, but we just want what we want now.
Yeah. This is
Mhm.
something I've been thinking about a lot recently. Is like, why is it so hard to change? Why do we, like we were saying at the beginning, why do we wait until there's like a huge crisis
Mhm.
to like force us to change? And I think part of it is that like there's comfort in certainty. And so like even if I'm miserable and I am like wanting to lose weight and I don't feel good and I have low energy and I am just like unhappy with my life, but I can't get myself off the couch to go exercise. I can't get myself to eat more vegetables. Like what's the disconnect there? And it's that, well, if I like keep living how I'm living, at least I know what my life is going to be like. If
Mhm.
I start a diet, like I don't know what that's going to be like, and in my mind I build it up to be really hard, and so I don't do it.
Yeah.
Or I start to exercise and I'm like, well, what if I like start to feel better, and then like, and then what? Then what does my life look like?
Mhm.
What am I gonna,
Mhm.
there's just, so there's comfort in that certainty. And so we let it just get so bad until it becomes unbearable,
Mhm. Mhm.
until like the certainty isn't worth the discomfort. But it kind of takes like a lot to get us there.
Yeah.
And I just like wish people could see that you don't have to wait until that, extreme pain or the illness or the whatever to like change your life, and that there's a much better experience waiting for you if you can just like get there. And
Yeah.
then the other part of it is that behavior change is really hard. I think we've
Mhm.
all like tried to start a diet or change what we're eating in some way. We've all tried to like do some kind of new healthy habit, maybe go to bed earlier or start exercising a certain way or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's really hard to make it stick. Like it is, and it's because of our brains, like how our
Mhm.
brains are wired. Our brains takes a lot of energy to make a change. And, like physically energy that our brains are like using calories to like focus on this new thing that we want to work on.
Mhm.
And if we don't like keep giving that energy and that focus and attention to this habit, which is hard when we have like our whole other lives to be working on,
Yeah.
then it just like it doesn't stick and we don't stick with it. And so that's why it's really helpful to have
Mhm.
support and to have someone who's like guiding you along and holding you accountable. And you can do that with a friend or a family member, or find a coach or someone in any area of your life that you're wanting to change.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree, definitely. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that we haven't covered?
I don't think so. I just like want to reiterate that if someone is feeling like discontent in
Mm.
any way, physically, emotionally, spiritually, uh, it's it's necessary. It's part of life. Like we're gonna go through these ups and downs, but you don't have to wait for things to get so bad to make
Mhm.
a change. And
Yeah.
just know that like there's a better experience of life waiting for you,
Mhm.
and it is available to you. Even if like you believe it's not, then let me hold that belief for you. It is available to all of us. Well, that's, our purpose here is to enjoy life, to have like a loving, fulfilling, positive experience. And so um just keeping that faith and the belief that like it's going to work out. I just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Mhm.
And I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've heard you talk about faith and spirituality. Can
Yeah.
you help us understand what kind of spirituality? Because sometimes, even for me, when I say it, I mean spirituality as in meditating, or for some, it could be going to church, reading Bible verses. How do you practice and use spirituality?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate you asking. So I grew up in a New Thought church. So it's Christianity, but a more metaphysical, like understanding and interpretation of the Bible. And believing that like we are all one, we are all connected, and we are all divine. We're human and we are divine. And so I believe that like everyone comes here kind of with their soul's purpose and lessons that we're meant to experience in this lifetime, um, and that we're like one with God, and God not being old white man in the sky, but God being like
Yeah.
an energy. It's like a source energy that is
Mhm.
in all of us. We all have it within us and access to it at all times. um, that's kind of like guiding us and supporting us. And I love one of my favorite affirmations is like the universe is always conspiring in my favor.
Mhm.
And universe could be substituted for God or source energy or the divine or
Mhm.
spirit or whatever.
Mhm.
um but it's like everything is happening for us, not to us. And so how can we harness our experiences and use what is in our lives right now in this like present moment? Meditation is a big part of that. Affirmations, affirmative prayer, to like get us to the next step and the next step. And I think something that I've learned like on my health journey that I'm recognizing about every area of life is that it
Mhm.
truly is a journey. Like there's no end point until we die. And even then, like might
Mhm.
not be an end point.
Yeah, yeah.
But like you just have to keep going. Life, it
Mm.
doesn't end when you lose the weight. It doesn't end when you get the job. It doesn't end when you like find that relationship,
Mhm.
because then there's the next thing and the next thing. And so the more that we can like be in the present moment and enjoying like every moment of life rather than just seeking those moments of elation or happiness when we achieve what we want. If we can just like live in the now and be more present, be enjoying our life, which is why I'm so passionate about like helping people create a lifestyle and health that will allow them to enjoy every moment. um, the more I think joy we'll get out of life and satisfaction that we'll get. um, because they have a long time to live and a lot to do.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. I think I'm going to do
Yeah.
something fun for this episode as we wrap up. What's your favorite color?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's a 5 second rule. 5 questions, 5 seconds. First time doing
Okay.
this
All
in a
right.
while. Favorite color?
Okay. Purple.
Food, favorite food?
Pizza.
Cats or dogs?
Neither. I'm not a pet
Ooh.
person.
I have two fur babies. And
Oh,
land or sea?
land.
Ooh. You don't like I can't swim, so
Oh, okay. I mean,
yeah.
I love the ocean. I love being in water. I like seeing it. I don't like the beach because I don't like the sand.
Mm,
But I grew up in Colorado by the mountains, and so that will forever be like my happy place.
yeah. What's your favorite spot that you've been to on vacation?
Oh my gosh. Costa Rica.
Oh, you forgot to
Mhm.
take me with you. Wow, it's so
Yeah.
beautiful there. So
It
beautiful.
truly is like, and there's so many wellness retreats and all, all that kind of stuff. But I like truly believe that it is there's something special there about like the
Mm,
energy and the earth. And, people are just like so much more connected to nature. Um, and they say like pura vida is pure life. And
yeah.
it just like truly feels like that there. And so,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
favorite place.
That's awesome. Would you rather listen to music or read?
Read.
Sorry, my kitty. That's my cat trying to come
Oh.
here. Do you have a favorite few authors and what are their books called and why do you read
Mm,
them?
I don't really have favorite authors. It's kind of the same with musicians. Like I have never and actors and everything. Like I've never been really like a follower of any kind of
Mhm,
person like that. That's a creator. I more just kind of like with music, follow what's popular, listen to what's popular, and then with books, I in Canada, do you guys have little free libraries?
We
You know
do.
about these?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just get my books from little free libraries like 90% of the time.
Say hello.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So,
And so I don't like seek out certain authors or specific
mm,
books most of the time. I just kind of see like what's available and then I read it. But I really like reading fiction, novels, anything to kind of like take me out of my head and
mhm.
experience something else for a little bit.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want my guest or my listeners or guests to get out of this episode?
Hmm. Oh, oh my gosh. I mean, so much. Just like again, know that like we are all meant to experience joy and
Mhm,
happiness and satisfaction and connection in this lifetime. And
mhm,
but you have to do the work. Like no one can do it for you.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, and it's not going to be easy all the time, but like it's worth it. And so just like always remember that it's always available to you.
Mhm.
Not easy, can be simple. Um, and you gotta claim it and then you gotta do the work to get it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Last question for you. Well, two questions. I'm going to ask you the first one. What is the meaning of life for you?
Oh my gosh. The meaning of life. I think we all have like there's a different meaning for everyone. And
Mhm.
so for me, I don't know if I figured it out yet, but at this point in my life, I guess I'm thinking about purpose. That's a really big question. I don't know if I can answer that. The meaning
It
of
is,
life, I
yeah.
think, is just to like be in connection with other people and to continue to like learn and grow always and be open to everything that comes our way.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, the openness and the connection, I think just being with other people and learning about ourselves through that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Last question. Let's say people are watching this, they want to work with you and get a hold of you. Are you willing to talk to them so they can get more information? And if so,
Yeah.
how?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can go to my website, espwellness.co.
Mhm.
I think that'll be maybe in the description. And there's a link to book a free 20-minute call so we can chat about how I may be able to support you. And if we would be a good fit to work together, because I always want to make sure that I am the right person for whoever's seeking out support, and that we have a good rapport to be able to like create transformation. So that would be the best way. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm not super active on social media, but I come and go. So ESP_wellness.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Elaine, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Thank you for all you do. Keep shining bright.
Thank you so much, Bernadette.
You're welcome.